didn't work today.
Your hands-free didn't work. Here we go.
Not today.
And welcome to a new edition of Raw and Real with TJ and Jen. Been a crazy week.
Yeah. Yeah, it has.
I mean, it's like we were suffering from jet lag from last week. I don't know. Monday is like a blur, and yesterday was, I don't even know what yesterday was. I mean, but we stumbled through it, and now here it's Wednesday, and it's almost gone by. We've been busy as all get out this morning, and lots of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of behind the scenes junk is what I like to call it.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, a lot of stuff. Men's meeting went good. Ladies' meeting was good. Got some other things in the works that we're working on. Just new blog poster live.
Yeah, they're up. We actually got to jump on those. You were doing yours for yesterday, and I just went ahead and knocked mine out, and they both posted, so they're up. And already got a lot of views, both of them do. So
I haven't even been back on there.
yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like they're, I think getting in the double digits.
Good.
So
good.
We thank y'all for that, really do. It's been an honor and a humbling experience to, I've always toyed with blogs. Like even when we were on the road, they never got much response.
Yeah.
And so I never took them seriously. So I thank y'all for that. I mean, from the bottom of my heart, it's humbling.
For sure. Brayleys will be up Friday. Which this won't post until Thursday, so
Yeah.
hers will be up Friday for you guys to read. It should be a good one. She's been tweaking on it and twisting on it quite a bit, so it ought to be good for sure.
Cool.
But
Well, as you can tell on YouTube, we are in the outer room, the back room, the office, trying to see if vocals and things aren't better back here. So maybe so.
maybe we'll see. Maybe the kids won't run in and out, and in and out, and in and out.
Well,
100 times.
that's no guarantee. but we're just trying to improve and make improvements and keep things going, keep things
For
better. We've toyed with the notion of completely redoing out there, but part of the thing that we've been also struggling with is like when we're on the road, like we won't have that with us, so we didn't know if we wanted to go all in on that.
Yeah. We're not very formal people.
No.
We like to dress up every once in a while. It's fun. It's a good time. But this is just really raw and real. This is who we are. And if you come over, this is probably what you're going to find. And so what better way than just to be who we are? We're not trying to put on a show for anybody anymore.
Right.
I think like we did for a lot of years. It's just it. This is what you get, raw and real.
That's the way we wanted it. And so like I was like, if we're on the road, like they're just going to drop wherever. We'd probably be mic'd up in a car for all I know at a campground. Yeah, I think that's why we never just went all in on the on doing the studio out there. We've got the building, we've got the way to do it. It's just we keep putting it off, and I think that's for a reason, and
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a good segue if you want to really get true about it and to kind of what we're talking about today, which is confirmation or confusion.
Ooh.
So, I mean, I think in life when we go through day to day, that's one thing that we truly all struggle with.
Yes.
And what we're getting at, folks, what we're talking about basically is, as you're seeking direction, as you're on your journey that we were talking about the other day, are the steps you're taking, are you getting confirmation or are you getting confusion? Because I think it's something we all go through on a daily basis if you're truly concerned and caring. I mean, there's some people out there that aren't. I mean, no doubt. They're going to go through life, they're going to do what they want to do, and it doesn't really matter, so...
No, for sure.
But to those that are really trying to walk things out and be of God, I think it matters to us, if we're on the right steps, if we're making the right steps. And that was a lot of the men's and women's meeting controversy. We were trying to make sure we were hearing from God.
Yeah.
So
And I think both of us questioned it up until the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Even after, I mean, there's still some questions, but it's like, I'd rather miss him moving a lot of times, but a lot of times that confusion or that fear will hold me back. And so then I just become stagnant again. And then when you start to move and you still feel like you're missing it, that's where it comes in, where I'm like, okay, I need some confirmation, because all this is chaos and confusion. And I know where that comes from. So what am I doing wrong? Like,
Right.
where did I miss my step?
Well, I mean, so much in my younger Christian walk days, I don't think I knew the difference. Like, just the smallest thing was a big deal to me, and so I didn't really care. And I think God understands that as we're coming about, as we're coming into things. Like, I think He gets it. I think He understands. Hey, they're babies. We know as parents that babies are going to make mistakes.
Right.
They're going to do things they're not supposed to. They're going to get into things, and by grace, we're going to get them out of it.
Right.
And I don't think our Father is much different in that aspect, because there's gonna be that grace and that mercy. I mean, He had the grace and the mercy to send Jesus to die for our sins all those years ago, before we were even thought of, and we still have that salvation. So how much more does He still, love us and want to guide us along the way with that grace and mercy? Like, it never changes.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, we overcomplicate it.
Absolutely.
We overthink it. We overcomplicate it. And I don't think God is complicated. No. I don't think He expects you to complicate anything. It just says, follow me, follow my will. And I know that sounds really easy, and we make it sound so complicated, but I overthink everything. And you overthink everything. I probably don't overthink it as much as you do, honestly.
I made so many mistakes, in my BC days, that I'm super cautious, and I shouldn't be, but I am. And it just comes from making mistakes and not wanting to repeat those mistakes and things like that. And so, I mean, I'm all the time telling you to, set it aside and go on. But I mean, really and truthfully, I'm struggling with it probably more than you are.
And we've always been big in our marriage. I think because Monty pounded that into us during our 5 sessions of marriage counseling, is you don't do anything without confirmation from the other.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean like you're my boss or I'm your boss. It's just, I always seek confirmation from you. I don't always tell you what's on my mind or on my heart, because
right.
9 times out of 10, you're going to bring it up, or you're going to be like, hey, this is going on. This is what I'm dealing with. So I always ask you for confirmation,
right.
And then I always seek a third source of confirmation.
Same. I've always, ever since we were empowered with that knowledge, I've always done it. And it's either, normally I like to use somebody that's not in the trenches, so to speak. I mean, a lot of times it is you, but a lot of times it's not.
No, for sure.
And then it's always, God revealing it to me by some sort of sign or whatever. And then the third that I like to use is always His Word.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm just studying one day and something jumps out and slaps me in the face that happens to be what I'm praying for, then I know that that's normally Him and His Word at the same time. Because, I mean, it's not by chance that you run across things.
Right.
If you're seeking God, that's what you're going to find.
Right.
But that goes with anything. I mean, whatever you're seeking, you're gonna receive. And so that's just a good rule of thumb that I've always stuck with.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
But the confusion part, I mean, that is so easy. I mean, in the book of John, the Bible says that He comes as a roaring lion. So we know that He is disguised. And another verse in there, I don't even know exactly where, it talks about being a wolf in sheep's clothing, which I noticed they use that as some kind of flu commercial for vaccination the other day. It showed up, and I was like, really? Oh yeah. There again, you have the medical people, the medicine, the whatever, the big name pharmaceutical people out there using scripture trying to get you to bite into something. And I was like, well, if that ain't straight out of the Bible, I don't know what is,
Wow.
So
Well, and it also says he comes immediately.
immediately, yeah.
So you're like, yes, I got my answer. You can expect immediately for something to come in and bring in that chaos and confusion immediately.
Well, don't doubt for 1 second that answer that you just received can't be the enemy trying to come in and throw you off track. We just had that conversation not too long ago.
Yeah.
We were praying and seeking for something for a while, and boy, this showed up, and it looked mighty tempting in a lot of different ways. And I'll be darned if the minute we're not, this is hard to talk about without giving it away, but like the minute we were in our element of another way, it hit you and you were like, man, I'm so confused. And you said, I don't like it. I know what that means. And I said, well, do you not like the part of it being of confusion, or do you not like the answer you got? And so, I mean, it's tricky. It's treacherous.
And it was
Treacherous. I can't even
yeah,
talk.
I mean, because maybe the answer in this particular situation was a no.
Right.
And I wasn't mad about it being a no. I
Right.
really was kind of neutral. I didn't really care. It was one of those things where I wanted to be exactly where he wanted me to be, so I was really neutral. Like, if it was a yes, that's great. If it's a no, not really going to miss anything,
Yeah.
So I wasn't upset that the answer was no at all. But I knew immediately, like, the confusion and the stirring in my spirit, and just knowing that everything was not adding up.
Yeah.
That's where it was hard for me. And I did. You asked an honest question, like, well, which is it? Do you not like the confusion part of it, or do you not like the answer? And it wasn't the answer, because on that particular thing I didn't care. Now, there are some things that I'm like, that wasn't the answer I wanted. I didn't want it to be a no, or I didn't want it to be a yes even, sometimes. And so I'm like, oh, I'm confused. You're not confused. You just didn't like being told no.
Right. And I think that's what we run into a lot. And guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, I just was pulling this up for clarification. It actually, the verse that we're talking about is James 3, verse 16, where it says, for where envy and strife is, there is confusion in every evil work. And so that is very, very crucial as far as what we're talking about, because envy and strife, which strife I've always taken out of the Bible to mean like problems. Anytime, like, say you're in a relationship that you think is the best thing on earth, but all y'all do is bicker and fight, that's strife.
Yes.
If you're at a job and the money sounded good, the benefits sounded good, everything sounded good, but like everything is stacked against you. You're always in trouble. They're working you long, late hours, more than they promised, taking advantage of you. You're never, ever off. Yet it's still not enough to take care of the bills and everything else, whatever the case may be. Like, that to me is strife, and that's how I put that up.
Yeah.
Envy is a little bit tougher. I mean, it can go so many different ways.
Yeah, you can go a lot of different ways with envy.
Like jealousy. If you're always jealous, if you're always, like, we think that with envy a lot, but I mean.
Well, I mean, if you're sitting there envying, like, somebody's Yukon Denali XL,
Yeah.
It keeps you stagnant. So, I mean, that does keep you, it's stealing your joy, it's stealing your works, it's stealing your journey.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, that really is envy to me. Like,
yeah, I mean, because you're so, instead of moving for God and striving to fulfill His call on your life, you're trying to go, financially fill your holes and your emptiness.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's envy. But
you're just so caught up on what you don't have.
yeah,
You're seeing what everybody
Envious.
else has, and you're just so caught up on what you don't have.
right.
When you could have just as much, or, the same as or be doing great works, but you're just so caught up on what you don't have in the moment.
Exactly. And that, along with the confusion part that we're talking about, I think anytime that we get in there and we're confused, you have to assume, according to what James is talking about, that it's not of God. It's
Right.
got to be of the enemy. There is every evil work.
Right.
And so we've all been there. And some people say that, hey, you're being overzealous on this, like you're looking for a creature around every corner. Maybe I am. Maybe that's one of my downfalls. Maybe that's where I am struggling a lot. But one thing is for certain, I am not going to get surprised.
No.
Because I'm on the hunt all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it hasn't happened, because there's been an ordeal that happened just here recently that it did catch me off guard. I was truly for certain that this was God opening, moving, answering prayer. But I kept telling you, and this is where I want to slap myself in the face, because I kept telling you certain things aren't lining up. Certain things aren't falling into place. Certain things, like, I don't think God works this way. I don't think God works this way. And this and that and this and that. And lo and behold, I got bit. I got snake bit. And so I went through about a week of just being upset and pity party and this, that, and the other, and got over it and got to moving on. But I learned a lot from it.
And in that instance, like, I never had a total peace about it, but it was something that made your heart happy, and it was something that you really wanted to do. And so I didn't not have a peace about it. But it's kind of like that. Is it a hell yes or is it a no?
Right.
Because it wasn't a hell yes for me, and I'm normally like, it's got to be.
Right.
Or it's a no. I've just had to become that way. But on this instance, like, it was something that was so personal for you and so much of what you wanted. And I thought, okay, it's got to be something.
Right.
But I also didn't know the ins and outs of it. I didn't know the behind the scenes stuff of it. And so it was devastating when it did fall apart, because deep down, I think both of us knew it wasn't right, but it was something we wanted to be.
We also, a little backstory on this though, we prayed, God, if this isn't you,
Yes.
that you completely remove it from the equation.
Yes.
And that's how we left it.
And that's what you did.
If it is, basically what I told God was, if it's not you, then remove it completely from the equation. But until I know that it's not, until I get that answer, I'm going to keep thanking you for it and believing that I receive it.
Right.
So I am operating in faith at the same time as leaving it in his hands.
Right.
And that's something I've never done before. It's kind of a new thing to me. And so it really worked out. Now, granted, I was caught off guard a little bit when it happened the way it did, because of the way it happened. And that's on me. I shouldn't have let it get to me. But I'm human and I make mistakes. And so here we are.
Well, that goes back to a conversation that we've had before. I think it was on the podcast, like, about people's integrity.
Yeah.
And you can't make somebody match your integrity.
That's true.
And so I think as humans, we expect more out of people than they're able to give. And in that case, that person wasn't able to reciprocate integrity. And we're learning that through people every day.
It just happened the other day with you, huh? So, I mean,
people just don't have the same integrity, and that's just one of those things that you have to be okay with them not being like you in that aspect.
it's like I was just visiting with our youngest about earlier. We were having a discussion, and I said, the Bible just tells us that even though we're in this world, we're not of this world. And so with that being said, I mean, we have to operate in this world, but it doesn't mean that we have to go on and act like them as well. We are an example. We're here to be an example, and we need to always strive to be our best, do the best by others, help others when we can, and always go above and beyond. As long as we take care of that, everything else will fall into place.
Yes. Absolutely.
And that's kind of the same genre, I guess, on that. I mean, as long as we do our best and strive our hardest, like we're supposed to be with God.
Well, and like looking back on this one that just happened to me, I already knew in my spirit it wasn't going to work. Like, I already knew that these people weren't who they said they were. So, like, I was already guarded. I already knew. Like, God had already warned me, like, don't get your hopes up because it's probably not going to happen. It wasn't what I wanted to hear.
Wow.
Because I always, always, always try to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
and
you do.
I will give people extra benefit of the doubt a lot of times. To the point where I end up getting hurt, actually.
Always.
And so, like, I was already warned. So why it shocked me or surprised me, I don't know.
I think because we have, no, I do. What I think it is, I think it is everything to do with, we have always, from the beginning of our Christian walk, the people that God placed in our lives always taught, whatever you do it with excellence.
Yes.
It's not about money, it's not about status, but people will truly see you trying to do something with excellence to the best of your ability. And I think in this specific instance, you were just trying your hardest to do the very best by the people for you. Like, if that makes any kind of sense, what I'm trying to say, like, you wanted to go in there and make this event the very best it could be. And so you were doing it with excellence, trying to not just halfway do it. Kind of that same deal like we also teach our kids is whatever you're going to do as if you're doing it unto God.
Yes.
And they don't always follow suit, but I mean, they are understanding our teaching, even though they still make mistakes or whatever. But one thing I want to get into right after the break is I want you to dig a little deeper into that because I think there's some good stuff coming on that right after our break. Stay with us, guys. We'll be right back with Raw and Real with TJ and Jen. Do what now?
I just got a text. I bet our groceries are ready.
And we are back with Raw and Real with TJ and Jen. So, I mean, we were just talking before the break about, doing it with excellence and everything. And so you said that you don't know why. You already kind of had a feeling that it wasn't supposed to go down that way or it wasn't going to work out. My question is, that I wanted to get into, is,
Here it comes.
is why, if we already have a gut feeling, why, if we've already got a gut check, do we go ahead and push on? Because the way I've been taught, and the way that you've kind of done as well, because we all know, we've talked about it, that I went in headstrong, full out, the whole 9 yards, and you kind of were dragging your feet. So, like, this is the way I've always gone about it, and I've kind of watched you follow in my footsteps in that, so to speak, is, like, we've got that gut check. Why don't we keep on?
Because I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. I really, deep down in my heart, I want them not to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Or I do want them to prove me
No,
wrong.
I know what you mean.
I do. I'm like, oh, no, they're better than that. They'll come through.
Right.
I think that's truly why I do it. I'm like, I don't want to give up on people. I don't want to be the one that breaks them. I don't want to be the one that solidifies their crappiness.
Absolutely.
people tell you all the time, oh, stay away from so-and-so, that's just drama, or stay away from so-and-so, they're horrible people. I don't want to be that one
I get
that's
it.
like, I always want to be that one that gives them that chance to shine, to be the person that they can be. You know what I mean?
You and I are so hell-bent on saving everybody in this world. I mean, truly, that's the way we go about it. I don't know how many times, even, again, BC, I got burned by people, you know, and I could already see what was going on. I could feel it, but I just still went off headstrong into it anyway because I'm like you. I truly just want to give a person the ultimate last chance they can get. You know what I mean? I don't quit. I want to give them every opportunity to make the right decision. And maybe that's why I'm a teacher, you know, because I think teachers have that characteristic a lot. They true teachers at heart, they want to see a kid shine. They want to see a kid, you know, blossom to the most that they can. And I think that may just be that in me, you know, I don't know.
I think too, because I was lost for so long, I did a lot of things wrong. I've done a lot of people wrong. I'm not perfect, and I still mess up on the daily. So I always wanted that grace. Like, one day you're going to come out of it. You know, one day she's going to not be that. If that's your call, I'll call you that.
Yes, God.
I don't want to be the one that doesn't win that extra grace. Because I've needed that from time to time. I haven't been the best friend. I haven't been the perfect woman to come to. I haven't been the best wife. I've failed as a mom in some areas, and I needed that grace. And I think that's what I do, is I just give people grace to the point of until they truly destroy me and destroy my heart, then I'm done. And then once I'm done, I'm pretty well like, you could darken my doorway and I'll love on you, but it won't be with feeling or emotion.
Yeah, and we've been down those
roads. That's probably not a good trait either. I mean, I don't know. But I get real hard-hearted once I'm there, and it takes a lot to get me there.
It does both of us. Dad always said, like, you will let people mess you around before, you know, you see the best in people until they prove you wrong.
Yeah.
And
you do.
I probably am guilty of that, hands down, but it's for good reason. I mean, I think it's the way God made me. Whoever that is really wants to get a hold of you bad. So.
I know who that is. It's okay.
So anyway, you know, it's one of those things to me to where I don't care if that's a flaw in the natural realm. This is how God made me, and I'm going to push on and push through and keep on, because that's one area I'm never going to miss God in.
Right.
I may be affected emotionally, and it may affect me, you know, in other ways in the natural, but it is not going to affect me spiritually, because I'm going to give it everything I got. And it's hard to do because not everybody is that way, but that's okay. This is how God made me, and I have a specific purpose.
Right.
And that is for a purpose that's hopefully going to help, you know, change somebody's life somewhere to the point where, you know, they might learn something from me. Right. Hopefully they'll see God's grace and mercy through me being a punching bag, so to speak.
And two, I want to take it to a different level.
Okay.
How many jobs have we sat under that we thought were a God thing?
Yeah.
He provided, you know, he came through. He showed up when we didn't know what we were going to do. And you're like, no, you know, it's a great company. They're massive, or, you know, it's good money, whatever the case may have been. And God was telling you all this time, this is not it. But you were so tired of starving, so to speak. And in some ways, literal. We did go through that. We were tired of starving all the time. And so you go and you push, and you know it's not fully right, but you're just trying to move.
Yep.
And then, like, you don't know how to move away from there because it becomes a security. It becomes a financial security.
Well, it's no different. I've shared this before on here. I'm pretty for certain, or at least on one of our lives, when we left Ballinger, we had gone down to Midland to look around for houses and try to figure all that out. And Glenn and Ann, we sat down and we went by and saw them. And he flat out asked us, are you following God or are you chasing money? And I said, oh, no, we're following God. And he said, okay, good deal. And it was truly a heed from God, no doubt about it, because I took a job, and it was decent money, and it was decent benefits, and there was a lot of perks that went with it. But also, what came with it was extended excruciating hours that allowed me the opportunity to miss the first 3 months of our son's life. I was always at work. Never home.
And when you were home, they were there.
They were still calling, blowing me up. And so all it boiled down to was my flesh was tired of eating God's manna. I was kind of like, the Israelites in the wilderness. I was belly aching and bickering the whole stinking time, but the only difference was I wasn't under God's leadership. I was under TJ's, and, it just eventually led to re-kicking off alcoholism and everything else, and that was another struggle we had to go through because I was just simply tired of suffering for a little bit. I was tired of what I thought was watching my family suffer, but in reality, we really truly weren't suffering. We were provided for. It was hard. It was uncomfortable.
But we were not suffering.
No.
But yeah.
And so, there again, you go from confirmation or confusion. Well, and be honest with you, it wasn't confusion, but it was strife and every evil work. So
sometimes I think in our minds we make up confirmation.
Oh gosh, yeah.
God doesn't want us living this way. God doesn't want this.
This isn't of God.
This isn't of God.
Wow, that's another deep segment right there. It's a good one. Yeah.
I think a lot of times we do create our own confirmations, and if you're not paying attention, those self-made confirmations get you in a whole whirlwind of trouble.
Wow,
And
yeah.
we've done that probably more than once, I'm sure.
Probably every time. That's why we have to repeat some things.
Yeah, I mean.
Wow.
I think also in that same boat, you can bring in confusion too. You can bring in your own confusion. It may not be the enemy. It may not be the devil coming in, bringing in confusion. It's just you.
Wow.
Maybe being ignorant. Maybe being like teeter-tottering, like, oh, I don't know. Being indecisive. When you're getting that stirring in the back of your mind. You're getting that stirring, and when you know that you're getting it, but you're putting it back, well then that just creates confusion. But it's self-made confusion. It's not the enemy just coming in trying to throw you off course. You're throwing your own self off course because you're not truly listening. Because it's not what you want to hear.
Yeah, or
you may not want to stand up in front of 1 million people and you're like, no, that ain't confirmation, that's not it. Well then you're confused because that's what he told you to do. But you don't want to go do it.
I guess can that same thing work on the flip side and you're actually self-making confirmation?
Yeah.
I mean, you want it so bad that the first little glimmer of hope and you're like, well, that's God, and you take it and run with it.
That's exactly what I said the first time. Like, we get self-made confirmations all day long, and we've done it way more than once.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that may have been what got me in that one wreck that we were talking about before the break, is you want something so bad, you're craving it so much that the first positive insight you get, and here we go, and you're off and running off in the boondocks where you're not supposed to be.
And it's probably something godly.
Oh!
It is probably something godly. It's probably something that you're like, yes, this is exactly what God wants me to do because this is what God would do. But
right.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Absolutely. It's always something godly. It's never something like, I'm going to go be a prostitute. God didn't tell you to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, oh, yeah, this is godly. These people need that.
or this has got to be God because this has always been what I've always wanted to do, and man, oh man, like we're gonna do this and this and this and this, and we're just starting to look for that confirmation, and it starts showing its ugly head. And I use that literally because it's the enemy in sheep's clothing again, like we were talking about before, and off we go. And basically all the enemy was doing was completely distracting us, completely taking us off the right course and leading us way out in the boondocks, trying to get us lost where it takes us twice as long to get back and continue working. So we both agree on that. And with that being said, so what do we need to do to prevent that? What do we need to do to keep from running off on those crazy endeavors?
I want to come back to that, but
okay.
I also want to look at it from another perspective because social media is so big.
Okay.
How many times have you gotten confirmation because of the number of likes that were on social media? You're like, oh, these people needed that.
Right.
When you posted yesterday, you got 1 like, and it may have been your spouse or your kid. Today, you get 50 likes or comments like, yes, we need that. And you get that confirmation, and you're like, all right, I'm moving forward. And then it's crickets.
That happens so much with us.
Confident in who your confirmation is coming through.
That's good.
It also comes from friends, acquaintances. We see people all the time, and they're like, oh my gosh, we love what you're doing, we support you, we're behind you, y'all should do this, y'all should do that. They probably love Jesus a lot, and we talked about this in the book of Job. But are their words godly? Watch where your confirmation is coming from. Do not just trust any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street that you are sitting down to eat dinner with, that you're going out to the movies with. I don't care who they are. You better know where your confirmation is coming from. You gotta know that your confirmation is not in a statistic on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube,
right.
Whatever, and it's not coming out of the people that are just saying nice things.
No, that's good. I mean, matter of fact, I was doing some studies, and I ran across that one thing that really jumped out, and I don't remember exactly where it is now. I'll have to go back and look it up again, but it talks about, are you really here to please man or God?
Yeah.
Who are you here to serve? And the other thing that we were talking about at church in the parking lot the other day, me and another gentleman, was, I believe it may have been Paul, and I'll have to again go back on that, but the very thing it was talking about was, be prepared, and it may have been in Philippians. I'll have to double check, but he was basically trying to warn them against false prophecy or false teachings in a way, and the whole gist of it is like we're gonna be going to church, and we're going to be amused, and our ears are going to be tickled by these preachers that are just talking about what we want them to.
Yeah.
And it kind of is the same thing with what you're talking about with the number of likes, because you got a big boost in confidence because all these people liked your post, but did you just tickle their ears, or were you really on track? Were you really sharing something that was moving to them, or was it just falling in suit with what they're into, kind of thing? So
your friends love you. Your friends want the best for you most of the time, but your friends aren't always your best confirmation, because I think as a friend or as a spouse, even sometimes, we want what's best for you.
Right.
And we want to see that. And so I think they pull for you. And instead, if those friends aren't leading you to Jesus, if those friends aren't leading you straight to his feet, then you need to rethink and recheck, especially on the confirmation issue. You can still be friends with them. Like, that's what we're here for. I'm not saying that. But
oh, yeah.
If you're going to them with a problem or a question or a concern, or just needing you to pray over something, if you're going to them with that and they're not directing you straight to Jesus' feet, then that's not where your confirmation needs to come from.
It's good. It's a good rule of thumb. I mean, for sure.
Ask me how I know.
Trial and error, folks. Trial and error. That's all we're really, truly talking about on here. And even in our sermons, when we do it on live, or when we are out speaking somewhere, or when, we're just sitting down, visiting with whoever. It's really, truthfully, all we're doing is trying to share our stories and our testimonies, what we've found success in, what we haven't, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Right.
Because I think that's the one thing that makes us stand out. And I'm speaking to each and everybody watching or listening, because you've got a testimony, you've got a story that only you can tell.
Right.
Nobody else can tell your story. I mean, they can, but it's not the way God intended it to be told. And that is going to change lives. That's going to, help other people that I can never get to. You can. And I think that's awesome. And for us to want to sit in a church and only the preacher can do this, it's the very thing I was ministering on this past weekend. The elders and everything were upset at John and Peter because they were out doing God's work. Jesus said, "Go into the world, lay hands on the sick that they'll recover, cast out demons in my name. Tell them about the saving knowledge of Jesus." And so here in Acts 2, they go and do that. Acts 3, they go and do that. They got filled with the Holy Spirit. In 2, 3, they're going right after that to go, do their praise and worship thing in the church. And here's this man, and they basically do just that. They lay hands on him, tell him to get up, that he's healed, and 4, the elders are throwing him in jail, mad at him. So I mean, why? That was the question I kept asking the body. Why? Why in the world would anybody that says that they are of God and about God not want to see God working and flowing in the body, other than you're worried about your job? And this is crazy, but I don't want to get off track into the whole new deal. But I mean, really and truthfully, it's been going on way back when. It's still going on today. And so why in the world would we not want our body to grow and to get out there?
Right.
And so it blows my mind, and it really kind of sets a fire off in me, to be honest. I mean, that's our job, is to go out and share the gospel and do what God's asked us to do. And so the only way we can do that 100% is through confirmation of Him, by knowing, like Timothy says, study to show yourself approved. If you study and you know and you're built up, I think that's one of the main key ways to keep from creating our own false confirmations.
Right.
And it's also a way to protect us, because the second part of that says, study to show thyself approved, a workman,
right,
not ashamed of the gospel, rightly dividing the word of truth, is the second part of that.
Right.
And so we know. The other thing is what Paul says in 2 Corinthians 10. The weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they're mighty. So we can't go out there with guns and swords and whatever and defend it all. But it's mighty through the pulling down of strongholds, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. And so we've got to have that in order to be able to know what is and what isn't.
Right.
And to stay away from the strife, confusion, and envy.
Right. No, you're spot on. Absolutely.
That's just the way God works in me. I'm simple. He has got to keep it simple, kindergarten level. I'm not a scholar by any means, so.
Well, when we come back, I want to go back to your question that
Okay.
I interrupted.
Yeah.
We took off on another trail.
Hey, it happens. That's why it's raw and real with TJ and Jen. We'll be right back. And those on YouTube that are still following us, hang tight. We're handling some stuff right quick, and some other things that are coming up and coming about that we're going to discuss is, warning off and fighting off the enemy in some some difficult ways that has worked for us. I don't know that it's going to work for everybody, but maybe it will. That's what we always try to do is tell y'all what has worked for us, and we just really hope that it helps you guys and blesses you guys, because we always want things to be simple because we're simple, and I don't think there's any way that we can dial it down any dumber than we are, because we're pretty simple people. So
Sorry, I had my kids lined out.
rock and roll. And we are back. Had to handle some behind the scenes stuff that YouTube catches, but podcasts don't.
Yeah, I can't stop you. I'm sorry.
I was just telling them that hopefully what we're fixing to get into will be simple, because like that's how we are. We're pretty. I can't dumb it down any further, because I mean,
we're only talking about it because we've been there.
that's what I was telling them. Like we're only sharing this because it's worked for us and helped us a little bit. I hope it works for them too. But
we're still learning
but
every day.
the question is how are we helping others protect themselves against it?
Oh.
I mean, some of that I got into right before we went off. I mean, that's in the Word. But how else can we keep it simple enough that they can?
I'm going to preach to myself here on that.
Okay.
Truly be in tune with your spirit, man. You know when something doesn't feel right. You know when something's not right. So quit fighting that.
You're getting into my territory.
Quit fighting your spirit, man.
My best friend, common sense. I'm serious.
No, like when you get that gut wrenching feeling like, okay, I don't think this is it. And also that comes with having a relationship with whoever you're going through that with, whether it be your spouse, whether you're confirmation for a friend or an acquaintance or family member. Know that you have that open door communication that you can say, hey, I know you really want this to be a yes, but this is not it. Without the backlash. And you have to be a mature enough person, if that's you, to take on that. Like, the answer's no. This is not okay. I don't have a peace about this. You have to be open and honest and mature enough with yourself that you can be like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
It sucks. I don't like the answer, but I did come to you because I trusted you. And so you have to have that open door of communication.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, for real.
Just truly being in spirit, in tune with your spirit, man, and saying, okay, this doesn't feel right. And like we've said before, maybe it's a no right now, or maybe it's just not right now.
Not right now.
Maybe it's for the future you or the future yourself.
The same reason that God protects us from revealing everything all at once, because we can't handle it.
Yeah.
So, as the word says, here a little, there a little.
You're asking for confirmation for a reason.
Right.
So you don't have the right to get mad.
That's good.
At whoever's coming at you with the answer of no or the answer of yes. Sometimes yes is not always a good thing. No, I don't want to go speak in front of 1 million people. Yes, you are. That's what you were told to do. Right. This is your confirmation.
Another Jonah story. Yeah.
So if you're asking for that confirmation and you're truly in tune, and even you're asking God for that confirmation, you don't get to get mad when the answer is not what you want it to be.
That's good. And like I was chiming in, like common sense. I think that is so crucial. It is. I mean, God, like Miss Ann used to always tell me, God gave you a brain for a reason.
Yeah, she did.
And I told you, I'm simple. It's not scholar stuff here. I mean, it's common sense. If something just 2 or 3 things don't line up, common sense says don't get into it. And we've talked about pushing through heads down, even though something doesn't seem right. Benefit of the doubt kind of thing. I understand that weighs into, but But man, one or two things don't line up, but some of these are still a maybe. Go ahead and creep on in a little bit further and see. But always keep your wits about you. Always keep some common sense. And my gosh, bless her heart. It's like that little girl that you run across every now and then on some of those TikToks where she's trying to open a can of crescent rolls with a can opener. And I mean, guys, those of you out there may know what I'm talking about. And talking about the bratwurst doesn't fit in the hot dog bun kind of thing and cutting it up. I mean,
surely.
For the love of God,
I
you
think
can't be
that's
like that
an
girl.
act,
That's
right?
gotta be. Nobody is that brain dead. I mean, truthfully. And if you are, sweetie, I'm sorry, but I don't mean nothing by it. But, we can't go through life that way. We can't go through our missions and our journeys that way. Like, we've got to have some wits about you. Keep your brain about you. And if your spidey senses start tingling, by all means, hold up and check out the environment. If nothing else, learn from deer. I love watching. It sucks when it happens, and I've only had it happen to me a couple of times, but it is so mystical when it does. One, I don't even know if it was me. She could have just picked up on something else because the sun wasn't even up yet. I couldn't even see her, and we were hunting down in the Kerrville area, down around Mountain Home. But I don't think you were with me. I think that was my first time down there. But I was actually in one of the little elevated stands, and I had got up there. I thought I was quiet. I'd been set for a few minutes. I mean, literally set for a few minutes, and the sun wasn't even up. It was pretty dark. I'd turned off the flashlight, and I was just kind of waiting for sunrise, and I heard the notorious tracks of a deer coming in. So I'm just listening because I can't see, I can't shoot, but I'm just like checking it out, and I hear her blow. You know what I mean? They do that little blow, snort, and run off, and that's to alert the other deer. We need to be more like that. You know what I mean? But it's awesome to hear and experience because you always kind of see it on a video, but to be there, heart pumping, you get excited, and it happens. Like it's pretty magical, mystical to me. I mean, for real, it's nature, guys, and we need to be more like that. We need to be more, everything's good, but I'm on alert.
Right.
Not to the point where we're scared, like maybe I would talk about me being it sometimes, but I mean, really and truthfully, on guard.
And truly, I think too, I need to learn that it's not on me to not necessarily hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
I'm real bad about that. Like, if I tell somebody no, it's going to hurt their feelings. Or if I'm starting to feel that, like, this isn't going to work, like, I should have just pulled the plug on this last ordeal. I should have just pulled the plug myself, and I wouldn't have ended up getting hurt.
I do.
And I should have just been like, hey, I've had a change of plans.
Yeah.
This isn't going to work. But I don't want to be that liar. I don't ever want to lie to anybody, but I also don't want to be like, you're a flake. You haven't done anything you said you're going to do. We're not going to do business together, whatever it may be. So I don't want to be that person, but I don't want to be the one that gets hurt over and over and over again either.
So then you've got two choices, and it's got to be one or the other. Or there's the politician, which y'all always accuse me of.
I am not.
And I find an ethical way to bow out gracefully and truthfully.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
it's just learning that bridge of, am I giving them grace? Am I giving them too much grace? Do I just need to stop?
I don't know. It's something I guess I've just been blessed with because I don't ever like to be that jerk, that dick. I don't like to be that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when it calls for it. And I can't help it. I didn't want to be here. The actions that took place put me here. So here we are.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what I have to say, then don't be dumb. And that's just, to me, common sense. That's all that is. That's common sense. You don't like getting a speeding ticket, don't speed. It's that simple. You know what I mean? You're like, you know why I pulled you over? No! Yeah, you do. You were doing 90 and a 45. Like, you know dang good well why you got pulled over. You know what I mean? And it's just those things. Like, God said, render to Caesar what's Caesar's. So obey the stinking laws. Kind of the same thing. These are the laws and the codes and the ethics that go along with, a business or whatever.
Right.
There's certain rules that apply. It's just rule of thumb,
Right.
man code, whatever you want to call it. It's the same thing. And so I do have a little gift where I can, get my point across without just being blatant,
Yes.
raw, in your face, hurt your feelings.
Yes.
It's not always the best place to be, and it's my last resort. But it happens sometimes, and there's nothing I can do about it. And so those to me are the only three choices.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing I'm gonna want to do is to be hurt. And like that instance I was talking about, before, when it happened the way it did, that person contacted me, and we had some round table discussion, so to speak, and it wasn't fun and it wasn't comfortable. But when it all ended, we were both okay. We both knew where the other one stood out of respect, and I don't think anything's ever going to come of it again. But in the same boat, like, I understood him, he understood me, and we were good.
Right.
And so they're not comfortable, they're not fun, but you have to have them sometimes. But I would rather do that than be hurt, personally.
And for me, like, I have a true gift of discernment.
You do. She knows when people are off, I promise.
When people are off, I truly have that gift, but I also am the one that will give that person every chance to prove me wrong. And
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
not one of
know
those that
why.
just comes in and like, nope, you smell funny, you're out. Like, you've never been that way, and you've told me, dude, I don't like what's going on, but whatever. And 9 times out of 10, she is spot on, and I get burned or I get affected in some way, and here we go. And so, yeah.
Then I get mad.
Then you get mad.
Yeah, like, you can do that to me, like, that's fine. I don't care, but you mess with him or my kids, and y'all better hope you know Jesus at that point, because there's no holds barred. My mouth doesn't stop. Like, my hands will start flying. Like, I don't play with y'all. You can hurt me because I was dumb enough to know it was coming. But I do. It's kind of a catch. I have that true spirit of discernment. Like, I will give you all I got, even though I know you're about to stick it right in my back. And I don't know why I'm in tune with my discernment, but I still give people that extra.
Well, yeah, it's just one of your good qualities. It's something that you've always been like and you've always done, and I don't think that you're supposed to change it. I mean, I really don't. And truthfully and honestly, I mean, guys, if something just seems off, that ought to start being where you really start paying attention. Like, that's the only other way I know how to keep it simple on here and help you understand when something's off or up. You know what I mean? Like, when something doesn't start lining up, maybe it sounds too good to be true. Maybe they're over giving in areas where most really wouldn't. Maybe that's a flag. Maybe it's God showing up with a miracle, no doubt about it. But that's when you start, like, really paying attention, I think is the best way to put it. Really pay attention. Really focus on that. And see if which way things start falling. Because at that point, what I learned at that point, they're going to fall to the right good, to the left bad. And that's not a political shot. It is in the Bible.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, truthfully, I mean, make you a little pro and con list at that point in your head. Keep check on it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, things aren't lining up.
Yeah.
This was our agreement, but now he's kind of deviating. Where does that fall?
And I'm grateful that you've never been like, why are you sad? Why are you upset? Like, you knew. You already had that discernment.
Yeah.
So, thank you for never being like that to me. You've always just been like, it's all right, I got you. You know, it's never been like, quit being an idiot.
I know we've had this laugh before, and there's a lot that is going behind the scenes on that. But I mean, really, kind of the backstory on that. One time you were dating another and had a bad day in the nursing program, and I think you actually had a patient pass on you or whatever, and they were like, "Well, you knew you were going to experience that trying to be a nurse, like."
Yes.
So that's why she's saying that now, is because it's kind of an inside joke between us. But you have to have compassion.
Yeah.
You can't be the "I told you so" all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I try to never be the "I told you so."
But you're always right. So
No, I am not.
most of the time.
No. No. Don't even start that.
You got it on camera.
No.
And film.
I'm denying it on the record. So, no. But, really, as we begin to start to wrap this up, I mean, I hope this has kind of helped y'all out there understand what we've learned, the difference between confirmation and confusion. It is so tricky to navigate. We cannot do this for you guys because, man, I had a hard enough time failing on my own. I don't. Oh gosh, I don't even want to try to take on somebody else's workload. And man, alive, it's awesome. It's fun, but it's a lot of work and it's tiresome. I don't think if I would have known up front that it was going to be this much struggle, that I would have jumped in with both feet when we did.
Yeah. That's why God doesn't show you the whole picture.
I would never not do it, though. And that's the 22 in it for me. I would never not do it.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because the glory I get to see, we were talking about this coming home this weekend, the glory and the way that it makes me feel when I get to lead somebody to Jesus. Like, I can't tell you the fulfillment, and it's better than nailing my first buck or God forgive me, it's better than the day my kids were born. It's just an unbelievable, overwhelming feeling when you see that. And it can't be duplicated. Even 10, 13, whatever people later, like, it's still a new experience. I can't. I'm getting fired up now just thinking about it.
No, it is. It's an amazing feeling. But that's taken us a long time to get to, too.
Yeah.
This may be another segment, too. But when you truly die to yourself and you're truly going about it for the right reasons, it's not to be up on a stage. It's not to be number one dog on the camera. It's not to be the lead singer in the band. It's not to be that one. It's just truly pointing people to Jesus and laying them at his feet and truly just dying to yourself. It is not about you.
Right.
And neither one of us have really ever been selfish people, I wouldn't say. But it's truly a different form of dying to yourself. It has nothing to do about you. It's making sure that when you walk out your door or you're on the other end of a phone, that they're not seeing you. They're truly seeing Jesus through you. You're just truly trying to get everybody to Jesus' feet, because you can't fix it.
Right.
I can't fix it. But Jesus can, and he will. And it's just getting them there and getting them to that point and just dying to yourself daily, because what you want doesn't matter. Ultimately, the end goal is what Jesus wants.
That's it. That is truly all we are trying to do.
Yeah.
And the only reason that we started doing any of this was just to take our situations, our faults, our accomplishments, and present them in a way that hopefully somebody can learn from them, grow from them, maybe, hopefully, prayerfully keep y'all from making the same mistake that we have made. Because I've always said this in a joking manner, for a couple that's only been married, 20 short years, we've been through a lifetime of marriage ups and downs. And I'm not meaning that boasting. I'm really not. It's just, dumb, ignorance, youthful, whatever. I mean, I don't know. We've been through a lot.
Some valleys. And
Yeah.
We've been on some peaks. We've been places where I would never want to see any other couple go.
Yep.
But we've been in some places where I think every couple should be.
True.
You know?
No, very
I think
true.
There's a good balance of both. And no doubt we're not done with our valleys. We're fighting through some things now, you know, that people don't know about. So life is full of valleys and peaks.
Right.
And like I said in my blog today, you know, no season lasts forever.
That's true.
Good or bad. Your good seasons that you don't want to end are going to come to an end, and the bad seasons are going to come to an end as well.
Absolutely. Just got to keep fighting, folks. Keep your nose to the grindstone, as the old saying goes, and know that as long as you're doing every single thing that you can to walk it out God's way, God will be there. God will take care of it, and God will see you through it.
Yeah.
And that's all any of us can do, is just keep trying.
And if you're struggling, you know, if you're in those valleys and you're just trudging and you're just slinging mud, get those people behind you that will support you and uplift you and lead you straight to Him. Those days where you can't even get the words out to pray for yourself, you know, find those people that'll stand in that gap for you. If you don't know of anybody, call us, text us. We don't even have to know the story. And that's what gets me too. That's probably a whole nother podcast. I don't have to know your history. I don't have to know your situation. All I need you to do is reach out and say, I need help. And that's it. That is it. God will take care of the rest. Because ultimately it's His will that we want for you anyways.
And that's how we're going to pray.
Not what we want and not what you want. It's what He wants. So if you're in that valley, like, find those people that can pray when you can't pray, that can take you straight to Jesus, that will lay you at His feet and just speak life back into you.
Right. Absolutely. Well, guys, we appreciate it as always for everybody tuning in and subscribing and following along. I mean, I've noticed the numbers are just climbing, and though we're not moved by numbers, we are humbled to see that, you know, it is starting to get out and the word's getting around, and we thank you from the bottom of our heart, because y'all are the reason that we do this, and without you guys, then we're just in here talking to ourselves, and so we appreciate it. I mean, we really do. Spread the word. If God lays it on your heart, we'd be grateful. And if you need anything, you can always hit us up on the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Quinteen Ministries. You can email us at quinteenministries@gmail.com. The links are on our social media group to get to our website. We know it's kind of a hard, confusing website at the moment. We're going to work on that in the future to make it more simple and own that, however all that works. We're working through it. We're just stumbling through this day by day, trying to learn and grow and do the best we can to be the best we can for God, for you guys. And so hit us up. We never mind hearing day or night. We're here standing in intercession and praying and believing God's will upon your life.
Absolutely.
But know that no matter what, you will get the raw and real truth from us, because that's the only way we know to be. Sugarcoating it's not going to get you anywhere.
That's right.
So we appreciate it. We love you guys and can't wait to see you next time.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys. Bye-bye. Did we get everything?